All right, we'll get started in about 2 minutes or so. And if you hear me out there, just let me know that the audio is okay and you can see my screen. So about 2 minutes. All right, I'll do another audio check here. Let's just make sure the audio is a-okay. We're about a minute or so out from starting, so just let me know that the audio is good. Okay, great, good. All right, we'll get started in just a little bit. All right, well, welcome to Stock Analysis Friday. Today is January 27th, 2023. Hope everybody's doing well out there. All right, so this is a type of event. We're going to be here anywhere from a half an hour to an hour. And the idea behind this is we're going to be looking up stocks that you want me to take a look at. And also, too, you may find some stocks that other people like that you like, too. So kind of like almost like a stock picking service in itself. All right, a few administrational items before we get going here, but go ahead and you can start typing in your symbols right now and type them in caps if you wouldn't mind, okay? So the caps make it easier for me to see. All right, let's go ahead and go through these administrational items. First thing I've got to go through, of course, are the risks involved in trading. And like I always say, without those risks, there is no opportunity. So the two really go hand in hand. But you need to be aware that there are risks in trading the financial markets. It's possible to lose some or all your money, either trading or investing. And also, too, you want to make sure you're using risk capital. This is a money that you can afford to risk as well. Also, past performance does not equal futures performance, so keep that in mind. And then also, too, please check with your financial advisor, money manager, to make sure any of the trades that we talk about today are suitable for you, because it's important that they are, because we don't know your personal situation and many factors come in order to make that possible. Also, too, if you want to learn more about risk control, we really suggest you use risk control in each and every trade. That includes calculating your trade size and things of that nature. I got a variety of books out on that. The one I'm going to lead you to is called The Money Management for Traders. I'll put the link up for these books in our Amazon page that you can access in the recording. But Money Management for Traders is a great book to get started. I have a whole host of other books. I got a brand new book coming out called The Art of Trading this year, and that's going to be on our trading system called the Applied Reality Trading System, as well as all the software that is involved in that. So you may want to get that. That's a pre-order item as well from our publisher, Wiley Trading. All right, now when we look at charts, we're going to use a variety of software tools. Many of you by now are familiar with these. We have charting software, we have scanners, and we have risk control software. You have to use risk control when you trade the financial markets. If you don't, it's not good, okay? It's just a matter of time before those losses can get out of control. So always make sure you control your risk and your losses on each and every trade. That way you can let your winners run and make you good money that way. All right, now I'll put a link up for this as well in the recording so you can access our software if you're interested in purchasing that. All right, and then finally, like, subscribe, and share. The more likes we get, the better it is for the channel. So go ahead and hit the like button right now for us. And finally, we want to thank you for attending. All right, so as I wait for the stocks to come in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over a couple items that I think is important. You know, we talked last week about the crypto markets. Most people, since we basically are dealing with stocks here, GBTC is the ETF or exchange traded fund for the crypto market. It's done really well since we recommended it and talked about it here in this room. But now here, just a couple little things I want to cover on this. All right, so here was the bottom that we had, that we basically have gone up from. And we've gone up quite a bit. Now, when I look at a market, for those new here, all right, I have the same symbol on all three of these charts. And on the chart on the left, this is a 60-minute chart. And this is going to give us our short-term aspect of what we're looking at. Then we have the daily chart, which is kind of the intermediate term. And then we have the weekly chart, which is a longer term of the stock we're looking at. So this is called multiple time frame analysis. And then we have our software loaded on each chart. This little piece of software here is called the risk to reward calculator. We use that for risk control, calculating our position size and risk to reward on each and every trade. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We have our scanners at the top. We won't be using those today because we're going to be looking at individual stocks. But back to GBTC here. So we've had a nice move up. Now, on the 60-minute chart, we've got bearish divergence building. We've got an Elliott wave 3, 4, 5 on this first impulsive move up on the daily. So I think we're due for a pullback here. Looks like we probably, if it's a normal pullback, we'll get between $10.90 and $9.72. If it is a wave 2 on the daily, we also could get a double bottom here. So ideally, it could pull back here, but wave 2s are tricky because wave 2s, we can retrace 100% of wave 1. So kind of beware of that. Keep your stop down here, and you should be okay. We do not think the trend is over to the upside at all, but we do think we're going to get a brief correction on there. So keep that in mind. Now, gold is another one too. And I want to take a look at USO, and I want to take a look at the bonds real quick before we get into anything here. So here's gold up in this area here. Again, this is one we recommended a while back. It's been on a tear. And now we're starting to, same type of thing. All right, we've got a big bounce off the bottom, but now we're probably going to go into a slight correction. And that correction could be between 171 and about 165, right in this range here before it goes higher. So if you're trading the impulsive wave, our software has a stop right below this pyramid trading point here, and will take you out of this first impulsive wave up. If you want to stay for the longer term, then keep your stop pretty much at the bottom, all right, at this particular point. And you can do that if you got in as early as we said to get in a while back. But if you're thinking about getting in now, at this point, I think I would wait for a pullback and then join the herd after you get a better price. Okay, so that's gold. USO, let's take a look at that one here. And these are exchange traded funds. Now, UFO, we're kind of focusing on the longer term chart here. We have a possibility of a bottom here, okay? This needs to turn green before that's confirmed. But if you wanted to take an early entry, we'd recommend that at this point. And again, I think you can put your bottom stop under here, just under 64. So I'm going to recommend USO as an early entry. And so this is one that can go on the stock picking list for everybody. So we do think oil will eventually get much higher and take out its old high of last year. And that means it will be up around 103 to 129. And unfortunately, you're going to see that in higher gas prices at the pump. So this may be a way you can hedge that for yourselves. And it's a possibility. Now, it's also possible, because you have to have your stop right under here. It's possible that if we go down, we could go back into the target zone. So it's not a slam dunk, but it looks like a good risk to reward here to go ahead and play this to the upside. So we're kind of liking that. TLT, I'm going to take a look at the bonds here. We've had a little bit of a rebound here, but one of our indicators, or actually two of our indicators here, the PTF and on both time frames, are indicating the bottom's not in for bonds yet. So it looks like even though we're at a correction here and we're going to go a little higher here, we probably could go up to 115-ish or so. It should dissolve itself into a downtrend and make another low. So we're kind of staying out of bonds here until things become a little bit more positive with those indicators. So that's kind of where we're at now. All right, so those are the ones I wanted to cover today. I do like USO the best out of all of those. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. So Peter, how are you, Peter? He wants to take a look at KOLD. So let's go ahead and get that one up there and give that a second to load. All right, not bad, Peter, not bad. Okay, so we've had a big move off the bottom on this one here. So I'm kind of liking this. This is not a bad pick here. So this could be a major bottom here. At the very worst, I think let's kind of draw some fibs in on the daily time frame. And let's just go ahead and bring them right around down here. So if for a fairly conservative target range, believe it or not, we're looking at 110 to 174, and this stock is at 51. So that is a short-term target. Now, it is very possible that if this is a major bottom on the weekly chart, we could go up much higher. But for right now, I think that's a that's a double your money target zone. So I like this one a lot. My only issue on all of these after they've had a big move off the bottom, and let's take a look at that. All right, we'll magnify that in and let's take a look here. The only difference here is that you're going to get a correction. All right. You know, markets don't go up straight forever. So you're going to get a fairly nasty correction. I don't think you need to worry about the bottom being taken out here, but I do think you're going to get a possibility for a correction down into possibly, the 30s before it goes higher. It could be that bad. So you got to be a little careful here. We've had this big move. I think this is a bottom here. So 1, 2, we're in 3. So you'll probably get some pullback. Now, this is kind of interesting, also indicating 3. Our owl is saying this is a Elliott wave 3, and we have bullishness here. So this is looking good. Now, look at the pyramids on the 60-minute chart. So they are basically tracking up the impulsive wave and getting a little toppy, after we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pyramids in a row. We're getting ready for trend exhaustion. So this is kind of a risky trade. There's no reason not to recommend this right now, but the caveat is you need to put your stop significantly back enough for any type of pullback. So let's take a look at where that could be, and we'll draw it up, from here to here. So if you can, and this is the issue here, it could pull back between 38 and 28. So you need to have your stop kind of below that pullback area. So let's say about 28.94 for your stop. So that's pretty far away from current prices. So you may want to wait for this to pull back. If you're in it now, don't get out. Just stay with it. Okay. It's really, really good. All right. So that's kind of pretty good on that one. That's moved up nicely. Let's take a look at SQQQ, which is a 3 times inverse on the Nasdaq. All right. So this, the markets, right now the markets are down 80. They were up earlier. The volatility that we've seen in this market has been pretty unreal, right? So look at the SQQ, kind of mimics what's going on in the Nasdaq, and it's pretty volatile. So when you take a look at this chart here, boom, 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 which kind of mimics not only the Nasdaq, but the Dow, right? So what do you do in a case like this? Well, if you're bearish on the markets overall, this is kind of one of these things that we're at the infancy, okay, of a pullback. So if you think the markets are going to sell off, then that kind of will be what happens. So you got to put your stop pretty low here or even at the bottom and try not to get caught in this volatility. So I do not recommend short-term trading on the daily time frame of the SQQQ. Now, if you wanted to day trade the 60-minute chart, it's a much cleaner move. All right. So that is how you can capture these little swings inside the daily chart by going to a lower time frame. And you might even want to go a little bit lower. but that 60 minutes seems to be so far capturing them pretty well right now. So you got to be careful here a little bit. I'm not recommending the SQQQ unless it's a long-term hedge against a market that's in a bear market, which we, of course, think we are in right now. But I have to tell you, I'm seeing a lot of major stocks like NVIDIA, even Tesla, getting ready to bottom here. So if I'm seeing these things starting to look like a major bottom, it kind of contradicts a major sell-off in the market. So I'm kind of like a little bit apprehensive right now. I'm still bearish, but there's some telltale signs we got to pay attention to. So we'll see how this unfolds in the next month or so. All right, upside target for SQQQ, Peter, I think probably if we're right and we get a tremendously bear market that occurs, and when I say tremendously, I mean something like, you know, the Nasdaq down another 30% or so from where it is now, then I would cover the SQQ when we get near the bottom of that. We'll have to take a look at that if it gets down that far. Same thing with the Dow. You know, there's inverse Dows you can take as well. You know, the dog is one, the S Dow, and things like that. And so same type of thing, you know, we're calling for a bottom there, possibly between 15,000 and 18,000 on the Dow. However, you know, if the market decides the bottom's in and wants to go higher from here, then you need to get out of these inverse ETFs. So I put the stop right at the top of the 2022 high on those. So that's how I kind of play that, okay? I kind of let's see what happens. I make these long-term plays at this time to hedge any type of downward possibilities in the market. All right, let's move on here. And Eleanor, RIG, RIG, let's take a look at RIG here. All right, so RIG's been on a tear, as you can see. All right, what it did here is on the weekly chart, it broke out of its range really nicely. Okay, so nice movement up here, has continued on up. We're starting to see a little bearish divergence here in the momentum owl here, but this is still a wave 3. So you're really popping up here nicely. So you're probably inside a wave 3 of a larger wave. And let's see what that could be. Ooh, boy, this is a pretty good one. Let's open up this here. All right, and kind of take a look and see what we've got. So we've got a bottoming scenario here. So that is very, very good. I think we looked at this at one of our other webinars and we kind of liked it too. For me, what's really nice on the weekly chart is we took out this area here. You know, one thing you got to be careful is when stocks bottom, they tend to get into this oscillation of going basically in a channel. And it can happen for quite some time. I mean, it can go on for years before it pops up. So this made a significant pop up here. So you can't ignore that. All right. That usually indicates the start of something big. So you want to be there. All right. Definitely want to be there. If you're on the weekly chart here, try to get your stop at least under this pyramid here, if not lower, because you will get a pullback. Let's take a look here. I would have liked everybody to have gotten into this earlier here, because I think if you get in early, get in now, unless you have your stop way back at around $4, you're going to get stopped out. So while there's no reason not to recommend this, all right, I think I got to recommend it with a caveat of make sure your stop is far back. So I actually going to put this on the buy list because I think it's a good long-term trade. I don't know if it's really a great point to get in for a short-term trade, but a long-term trade would be good. If it pulls back, then of course a short-term trade would be okay too. But from a technical standpoint, except for the bearish divergence and the number of pyramids on the 60-minute chart indicating we're due for a pullback, there's no reason not to be long on this. Okay, it's a great stock. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, let's take a look at Tesla. This is for Stuart here. All right, and Tesla, again, here's what I'm talking about on a lot of these major stocks. Okay, unless this heads back down and does something kind of unusual or can't do for a wave 4, then wave 4 bottom is probably in and we're going higher. However, here's the alternate wave count. All right, this could be a situation. Let me just redraw this here. This was during here. This could be a situation as well, all right, where you had a 3, a 4, and a 5, and now we're on a move down. So that's another alternate wave count. So we're going to kind of have to see here. This is the wave 1 high. So if it stays above that, it could be a longer term major 3, 4, 5, or a 1, 2, 3. So this kind of is a little tricky, but that could be a bottom. This is still very red, which is a little unsettling. So the momentum is really low here, proving a little bit. This is green, PTF is green, so it says eventually it should get above that. All right. However, it could go a little lower before it does. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm seeing this on a lot of stocks, and it really could go either way at this particular point. So I would probably trade this more on a shorter time frame. And as you can see, you got an entry way back here on this pyramid. And then when the owl turned green, you could go in. So we're at 168. Ideally, entry would have been around 130 or so. And you want to put your stop under there. And like all these stocks that are running up, all right, this is going higher. Okay, no question about it. But eventually you're going to get a pullback. And so that's what you always have to be thinking. So if you don't get in early on this first impulsive wave up, all right, it's kind of tough because you got to put your stop so low that your trade size is going to be so small to account for the distance between your entry and your stop in order to maintain your risk, that it sometimes can make the trade not worthwhile. How would I play this? Probably options. Okay. I would probably do an option play and limit your risk by buying, for example, maybe 2% of your account size in the premium of the option. All right. So that's kind of where I love it. It looks great. It's going higher. We have no bearish divergence in the owl on the 60-minute. So I'm going to put Tesla down as a good one here. Again, with another caveat that you're going to get some type of pullback, and then it's going to test the bottom perhaps. All right, let's keep going here. On NVIDIA, so you're going to see the same thing on this one too. All right, so let's take a look at this. So here's this big move off the bottom. All right, again, very similar. Let me open this chart up. Very similar. The only difference here is that I like the owl where it is now. Remember when we looked at Tesla, we were kind of in a very deep owl here. And it doesn't mean it can't turn around, but this one is much better, okay? Because it's indicating green owl, green PTF, bottom here, did not go below wave 1, okay? So in terms of the Elliott wave count, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the target for 5. Pretty deep retracement, so that target is not going to be as high as it normally would. However, the PTF is indicating a high above wave 3, so we should get to about 358 on this, if that's a wave 5. So NVIDIA is good, okay? NVIDIA is looking really good. Again, what you have to be concerned about here is stop loss placement, and I would put it under this pyramid here. So basically, we bring up the data box. We're looking at a low here of 140.34, so 140.33, and NVIDIA so far is one of the best we've looked at today. But that stops pretty far away. All right. So again, options is probably the best way to go, or wait for the retracement. We don't have much. We have a little bit of bearish divergence in here. We have 1, 2, 3 pyramids here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So yeah, we're kind of getting ready for a little bit of a retracement, but I think it's going higher sooner versus that. All right, let's take a look at TSM. And the song remains the same, right? So here we got big move down. Okay, now we have a green owl. So that's good. We did not go anywhere near. Okay, this is a retracement for here. So now we have to see what's going on with this. This is different because of this. This is a red PTF. So that's why I drew the retracements from here to here. So this song is a little bit different, actually. Well, actually, this is a target for the move up. And as long as this remains red, that's indicating more movement down. So I guess I would not take this one, even though it looks similar to the others. That PTF is keeping me out. Now, on the shorter time frames, we're still looking at higher highs. So we're going to go higher into the target zone. And the reason I say that is this is green, this is green, this is green. We're seeing bearish divergence here. We got a little bit of red here. Probably get a pullback and then one more surge up on this. So short term, you can stay long on this one, but you want to be pretty nimble. I'm not going to recommend this one, okay, at this time because of the red PTF on the weekly chart. And then CE is the other one here. And Stuart, I think this one is for you too. All right, so CE also bouncing off the bottom. We got a bit of a green owl now on the weekly chart. Let's just open up that weekly chart a little bit more and see where we're at there. So we had the highest owl here, 3. So we're probably 4. This was the COVID low. And so that kind of almost represents what we're almost the Dow at this point, or the Nasdaq for that matter. So here we are coming off the bottom here. All right, so let's say take a look at the short-term charts, and they look pretty good except for a little bit of bearishness now coming in on the 60-minute chart. Do you see that here on the right-hand side? A little bit of bearishness coming in, so we're probably going into a correction here. We do not have bearish divergence here, so that's okay. But this first move up here, this was a low here, so really that first move up is what we're in, so you can expect now some type of retracement. So I don't think I'm going to recommend this one because I think the bearishness is starting to take hold on the 60-minute chart. I'm not, if you're in it, I don't think I would necessarily dump it, but I probably would have my stop at below this pyramid to get out of this impulsive wave because you can probably get in at a better price a little later on. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm looking at that one. Good one to look at though. All right, let me just run over really quickly and take a look at some of the day trading markets here. Keep typing symbols in if you'd like. M2K, pretty messy chart. Let's go over and take a look and see what the MES is doing. Market's been all over the place. You can see at the beginning of the day here, a nice trade to the upside, and then boom, down. And now it's a trade possibly back to the upside, but you're not going to take it because the PTFs are red here. So basically, this is still in a back and forth volatile point here, and on the 1 minute looks like it's coming down versus really rather than going up at this point. So again, I wouldn't be trading this to the long side right now with the red PTFs. Let's take a look at the M&Q, see if there's any difference there. Give that a second to load. This is much more bullish. I think the Nasdaqs are going to do pretty well here compared to the Dow at this point. So this looks pretty good. Probably on this case here, we're probably looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if that fib extension here corrected. Yes, it hit the target zone perfectly there. So your fib extension here should give you your target zone, and probably you're going to get up into this area here before we get some type of change in trend. So it would have been a nicer trade back at the pyramid trading point entry. Pyramids do a great job getting you in the market. Stop down here. If you get a retracement, you can get back in, do it. Otherwise, your risk to reward is not there. Here's your distance to the target, and here's your stop. Stop distance is bigger than the risk to reward, so you would not take that trade at this time unless it corrects. Let's take a quick look at crude oil here. What a downtrend this had this morning. Okay, and these, by the way, again, multiple time frame analysis, but you got to remember 15-second time frame for day traders, 1 minute here, and then 5 minute over here. So much shorter time frames than the others. So we had a nice move down. Pyramids caught that move nicely. We're seeing a retracement, and according to the PTFs, it's only a retracement. So probably not a good idea to go long here. But if you hit this target zone here, all right, then you're probably looking for a short trade at some point. So that could be MCL. We'll just finish up with MGC, which is the gold market, and we'll get back to some stocks here. That's been on a tear as well. All right. And so now we have bullishness across the board. So it looks pretty good. Boy, look at the 15-second chart. Just took off. And now we're taking off across the board there. So in this case here, if you just showed up to the market here, don't get in here. It's too late. Okay, too many pyramids in a row. Statistics show if you have more than 4 or 5 pyramids in a row, could be a little bit late. So you had that here, then you had the correction, and then the count starts over again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're probably getting set up for a correction to the downside. So I would be looking possibly at a long trade, but not until we have a major correction on this. So at least 1942, you could probably short it down there, but I wouldn't do that quite yet. All right, so those are the intraday markets. If you like that kind of stuff, we have a day trading room. That's what we do in that. All right, let's go back to the longer time frames for position trading. Got a couple more that's come in. TSM, let's take a look at that. And I guess we looked at that one, didn't we? TSM, let's see, ZBRA. Okay, there it is. ZBRA. Okay, let's see about that one here. Stuart, I think this is another one of yours. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. All right, so this one's looking pretty good. I'm going to open up the weekly chart, and classic big move up, wave 3, wave 4. There wasn't really any, since this owl was the highest here, this would be the wave 3 technically. This is wave 4. We want to make sure we're done with that. So we have wave 1, 2, 3, 4. Wave 4 did not go below wave 1. ABC. So we just got to see if the bottom's in. We certainly could be. This is close to green. So technically, until that's green, we're not sure if we got a long-term bottom in yet. The short-term charts are bullish. But again, here's another example. We're already quite a bit off the bottom. And there's no bearish divergence here. So that's good. None here. So this looks pretty good. I think probably a long trade on this would be okay. Try to get your stop at least below this pyramid here. So let's put down ZBRA. I think we may have looked at this before and recommended it at that time, but it's looking pretty good now. All right, early entry. If you want to be more conservative, wait for a pullback to enter. But otherwise, if you have your stop set, you should be okay. CZR, let's see, and you stop low enough, I should say. You should be okay. So CZR we've looked at before as well. This is one that's been moving up here. And let's see what we got going on here. So we got that possible bottom as well on here. So again, very similar. We've looked at it before, of course, but looks pretty good for a trade to the upside. Again, not as favorite of mine already because we're already close to a wave 5 top on the 60-minute chart. Let me just remove this. That was a corrective zone. So let's just see where this could go, possibly here. So we're kind of close to the target. That's a short-term target. So close to a target. I'd probably wait for a pullback on this one, okay? If you're long, stay long. Just keep your stop really low, all right? But for right now, we're getting close to a short-term high, all right? That's where I kind of look at that. All right, let's see. Anything else? Going once, twice. All right, I think we're pretty good there. All right, so let's quickly just take a look real quick. The other crypto I wanted to show was Blocktrain, and this is RIOT on the exchanges, on the ETF, exchange traded funds. This is another one like CBT that's looking pretty good right now. Everything's pretty green. I think we're probably gonna get a pullback on all these cryptos. So if you wanted to wait a little bit, you certainly could. If you wanted to go in long term, you could at this point, assuming, of course, that this is a major bottom. This is green, so we are going to get more highs after a pullback. So the idea behind this is do your trade size, don't bet the farm, but these are looking like maybe some type of significant bottom here. All right, so you kind of want to pay attention to that. All right, anything else? I'm going to put it back on the futures market. I think we covered all the stocks for today. Now, just going over USO, all right, KOLD, RIG, Tesla, TSLA, NVIDIA, MVDA, and ZBRA are all potentials for today, okay? So those are all winning trades, but you have to be careful. Most of those have already run up. There, it looks like it's the infancy of something big, but you have to be careful in case we get another breakdown in the market. So you have to have those stops in place and low enough. And playing options on those might not be a bad idea because they've run up so much. All right, so here is gold kind of topping here. Let's just go back quickly and take a look at the MES. All right, so that seems to be heading up still a little bit here. So we'll have to see how that goes. We'll see if these PTFs turn green there, because that certainly could happen. Let's take a look at crude oil here. All right, so we got a situation on crude oil, big move down. Kind of interesting on that one. Okay, so here's where we'll leave it. And I think that's it for today. All right, hope everybody's doing good. All right, having a good year so far. All right, so I'm going to leave it on crude oil for a few minutes before we end the session today. I want to thank everybody for coming. Great stocks to look at, a lot of opportunities out there. Market is tough, okay? A lot of back and forth in the market. So it's been tough for position traders for the most part, but maybe we've got some significant bottoms in some of these stocks, and I think they're worth a trade. But again, don't bet the farm. All right, we still may have some more selling coming back at some point, but I think short term, you should be okay to the long side. All right, so I'll leave it here. Have a great one. I'll put a little music on, and thanks so much for being here.